This caught my eye this morning. Good morning, everybody. You see, I'm not sure if it's normal to see the fruit of the year before together with the new fruit hanging from the same branch. Kind of interesting, isn't it? So you can hear the little seeds inside, and then you have the new ones. A lot of the old ones are here, and there's still new flowers coming. And there's still flowers to bud there. So you can see the flowers that are open, and you have that bud in the middle. Interesting. Nature has so many riches to it. So many things under our nose or above our nose. And then we still have the yellow ones. The red ones are the first to bloom, and the yellow ones coming about a month later. At Easter, at Pentecost time, the red ones are in bloom. The Ponciana tree, and the other people dispute that name and say it's a different name. That's okay. Surely in different languages and different cultures they have different names. I wonder if I missed a red sky this morning when I was showering before the sun came up, because I had the thought when I was swimming there that the cloud was ideal for a fantastic sky. But we can't do everything. There are some possibilities and some other possibilities. We've got a lot of cloud coming this way as well. It's the time for the first sprinklings of rain, but in the next month or so, but it's unlikely that there'll be anything major or serious as far as I know. There were actually some, the way when a car is dusty, and here there's a lot of dust, and then when a little shower falls, it leaves a lot of stains on the windscreen, and actually that was the situation last evening. We were over to the volunteers' house for a little moment of devotion, and Father Rodrigo commented that the windscreen looked like as if it had rained, but there was nothing on the ground. It would obviously evaporate immediately because everything is warm here, and usually there'd be just a sprinkling. It's nice to see this light with the background of the dark, right? Everything has its place and its time. Today there's a lot of takeaways in the readings. I don't know if you've been looking at the head of me. You can always do that because you have the link for today, for example. And then if you're at the top of the readings, when you open that link to the readings, and up in the top there's an arrow to the right for tomorrow's reading and an arrow to the left for yesterday's reading. So it's a very easy resource to use, and you can always be a step ahead of the game if you want. And it's amazing with the scriptures. Familiarity with the scriptures is a great exercise, a great enrichment, because there is so much inspiration and lots of background as well to handle in the scriptures. To capture. If we look at the Psalm, we have Psalm 100, exactly, 100. I love this Psalm. It's one of the 4 Psalms that are options for the opening of the breviary prayer, the prayer of the Psalms we pray every day in continuity from thousands of years ago. And it's, I'm actually making reference to this fact of the continuity of the Psalm prayer in the church since the earliest days, in the new newsletter article being prepared at the moment, God willing. So we are his people, the sheep of his flock. That particular idea today gives us a great sense of, imagine the understanding of people back then. I don't know what your understanding is. If you were to say we are the sheep, you'd say no way. I'm a free-thinking person, I'm in charge of my life. But let's take the image, what it's trying to communicate. It's a nomad people, a shepherding people with their flocks in the deserts, in the dry regions, looking for water and the danger of animals. And the shepherd is vital. As the sheep are vital to the shepherd, that's his livelihood, that's his wealth. You know, we have those lines in the Bible which said that this guy was so rich, he had all these camels and all these donkeys and all these sheep and all these goats. That was the wealth. You know, people invest a lot of money today in stock, in the companies. They have stock in the companies. But the shepherd has livestock, living stock. That's where the word stock comes from that type of asset, that type of livestock are living realities that are entrusted. They're a treasure. They're of great value. And we are his people, the sheep of his flock. The very fact that the word people is in there is interesting because it's also recognizing that we're not sheep. We're his people, the sheep of his flock. And so what the image communicates is the closeness, the proximity. The shepherd he's in front of the sheep, he's behind the sheep, he's in the middle of the sheep, he smells like the sheep. He's their protector. If a lamb has something hurting its foot, gets stuck between the hooves, then the shepherd is there to pull out that little stone and the lamb can frolic along again with the flock. If there's a newborn lamb that hasn't managed to stand on its feet and suckle the mother, then the shepherd will lift up the lamb and hold the mother, and maybe a mother's a little bit contrary as well, sometimes can happen, and the lamb has a bit of a challenge to get the nourishment it needs to survive in those first half hour, 20 minutes, hour. How the lamb's life is life or death. And there might be a fox around or a coyote that's just waiting for the chance, and the shepherd is there to defend that life. We are the people, the sheep of his flock. What a marvelous, marvelous image. And then sometimes the Lord wants us to be involved in the feeding, and he gives us a job to do. And there we have a marvelous reading today in Corinthians that everybody has a different task. Everybody. I remember in the farm, you know, even when I was 5, 6 years old, I could turn off a tap. I could go out and see if the cows had arrived. I could check for new lambs in the morning. I was able to go with my dad and stand in a gap and the sheep wouldn't turn in there. They'd continue along the road. And so everybody has a job. Even the elderly. I remember when my mom's dad was elderly, he also helped in the harvest. And his work was not as strenuous as my dad's work or my uncle's work, but he did his part and it was very important. Or I remember also, before we used to even buy twine to tie the hay, we made rope from the hay. It was an interesting exercise, and we did that in the kitchen at night time, in the evening time, after doing our schoolwork. And everybody helped, and we made hay rope. I don't know how many people now could relate to that are on this live stream. And you just, I don't know how to describe it, what words. It's a long time since I had that image in my brain. And it was used to tie the trams of hay. It's a long time ago, that's 60 years ago. Probably literally 60 years ago that we did that in the kitchen still. And meanwhile, they had the big combine harvesters in the United States and the big balers and all that were coming. So another technological leap, you know. But we were still back in the hay rope age. A little bit ahead of the Stone Age, but interesting. So everybody has their own role. Not everybody is a prophet, not everybody is a teacher, not everybody is has the gift of healing. We all have gift of healing in our words as well. We can say a word that heals a relationship, or we can say a word that blows it up and explodes tensions in families into terrible situations. Or we can say a word that's reconciling, of course. But at the same time, there are people that have special gifts of healing, special gifts of mediation, of kindness, of patience, of understanding. People sense they're understood when this person is there listening. And then to know which is my place, to recognize it, to also be listening, because the Lord can be nudging me along He wants to reveal more gifts in my life for the good of His people. Because most of the time these gifts aren't for us and for our glory, they're for service to the people in need. Like the shepherd with his sheep. The shepherd isn't looking for his glory when he's looking after the sheep. He's looking after the sheep, period. And so there are so many people, such great nurses, the kindness of nurses, the attention, the good advice of a doctor. Yesterday I had a conversation with a doctor, an amazing man, a very busy surgeon. He was in the car driving home, and what beautiful, very sound, practical advice. It's everybody, we all have a role and we can fulfill that role. We should fulfill it well. We should ask for the light and the grace and the strength to fulfill our role well, with love. That'd be the first thing. And obviously with competence, as much as we can muster. And for that reason, we're in school, we learn, we read books, we stay updated, and we know what we're supposed to do and deliver. A good accountant must be aware of the new laws and the new regulations and problems that have happened for others, and he's able to assist a small business or a big business or a public treasury in how to manage their business well, for the sake of the health of the company, for the sake of the continued service of the people. Look at that sky in this background, the trees shining here, the sunlight on the trees and the dark sky. Interesting. Are all apostles, are all prophets, are all teachers? No. My dad was a farmer, my mom was a teacher. But as a farmer, my dad was a great teacher as well of life. A great eye when people were in need to help. Strive eagerly for the greatest spiritual gifts. I imagine that reading will be coming tomorrow. We'll stay with what we have today. And then we have the story in the Gospel, which harks back to Elijah and to Elisha, who both raised the son of a widow. As Jesus' account today, Luke's account of Jesus in the village of Naim. Oh, I meant to be over at the map. I don't know how long we've been on the air already. Can somebody tell me how long we've been on? What time do we start? We started probably 15 minutes ago, right? But you've seen the map of Galilee a lot in Magdala. And there's the village of Nain is mentioned there. And this is very interesting because it's actually very close to the place where Elisha raised the Shunammite widow's son. And that's very, very beautiful, very, very interesting. So we'll comment more about that at the Mass this evening, because I think our time is relatively up. And we'll see you later, alligators. Lots to take away today. The care, compassion, interest, each one recognizing our own role. and knowing that God is the big caregiver for all of us. Greetings from the Sea of Galilee. See you later, alligators. Beautiful green trees.